Hey, we're back for episode, I'm gonna guess, 18. Oh shit, no, it's 17, isn't it? I was one of 17? Far Kingdoms?
Hey, you wrong. Hey, you wrong. The first thing you say and you wrong.
No,
Hey.
we can just edit it out. I'm editing this podcast this time. I have edited power, so I can be as rough as I want.
Hey, you wow. Episode 17.
17, yeah.
Episode 17?
Yeah, and it's session 54?
54.
54. So, 2 weeks over a year. We were counting weekly sessions. But it's taken 3 years to get up to this point.
It's taken us 4 months, not 3 years.
3 years out of the whole campaign to get up to session 54.
Oh. Oh, you meant the whole campaign?
Yes, the whole campaign.
Really? 3 years?
And we started in June or July of 2018. And then we were going for about 20 sessions pretty well. And then we had the 2019 hiatus, so we basically didn't play Axia for most of that. And then 2020, we went back to it. And we got up to about 52. So basically...
So, if we're following the pattern, that means we should take another year hiatus this year.
No, there's no pattern.
No.
There's no pattern.
Okay.
Don't assume that there is a pattern, okay? Alright, that's just a one-off thing. We're gonna play Axia forever, every week, without breaks. Without breaks. So,
No brakes on this train.
session 54. A lot happened today.
Did a lot happen? I think
Actually, not a lot happened. You're
think
right. Not a lot happened.
plot progression-wise, not a lot happened, but a lot happened combat-wise. And just general shit
Actually,
going sideways.
A lot didn't happen for combat either. That was
Actually, that was pretty short.
Pretty quick combat. So let's bring up the recap. So Huriya arrives at Karthus, and immediately the party discuss what they need to do at Karthus.
Yeah. I've noticed at the beginning of every session, there's a 15 to 20 minute, hey, what are we doing this session kind of deal. We never really just, bop, we here, jump back into it, do we? There's always a, what are we doing this time?
I think because there's been so long after, so long we've since we've played last.
I mean,
we're kind of just picking up, the speed again.
Even going back though, like session 52, 51 or whatnot, I think that was kind of prevalent in every session. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, I'm sure a lot of DMs would say, hey, thank God.
You also have to take into account how many gears were turning, how many moving parts there were back then. There's considerably less now, or maybe there is, but we're more focused on other things, so everything is just kind of, coming out of focus. So, but this time, yeah, there's a lot of threads that we're trying to tie up, and we're getting back to the whole Oathbreaker thing that we came to Huriya for in the first place. And now we've arrived at a new town, and there's two main objectives that the party discusses to do in Karthus. Ryan received a letter from the Ubanian Empire that he is to have a meeting with a Ubanian general as Lieutenant Galfor, which is a Ubanian agent that we killed.
You murdered.
We killed several months ago. And burnt down the warehouse. So Ryan has this idea that he's going to disguise himself as Lieutenant Galfor and, attend this meeting and try and get them off their backs. Now, I don't know how specifically he's going to get them off their backs. I have a feeling that it just might make them even more suspicious than before. Ryan is not the most convincing character stat-wise.
But he did get proficiency in deception.
He did. That don't mean he's saved.
I mean, what do you think about that whole situation? Like, is this a good idea in
fucked.
general, or
he's
is this
fucked? He's absolutely fucked.
But it's the correct choice.
It's the only choice.
Yes.
But he's still fucked. Because if it goes good, best case scenario, there's no suspicion and the Ubanian party just goes on their way. And hopefully they don't send more guys there. But I feel like Ubania has a pretty big presence, albeit very secretive presence in Huriya, as the rumors say. So even though there might not be suspicion there, there's always opportunity for Ryan to get caught out, because I think that's the whole reason they're there. They're tracking down one rogue Night's Watch agent. And then, worst case scenario, they send even more Ubanians, so the situation becomes extra snafu very quickly.
Yeah.
There's no good, ultimately good ending to this. I feel like eventually we have to leave Huriya one way or another.
Yeah, I mean,
this might speed it up.
Eventually there's gonna be some kind of big confrontation for Ryan, right? Where it all comes down to this, where this will be the last time the Ubanians will be tracking him down, and this will be the last fight or whatnot. Who knows how long that'll take? Who knows if it'll take you guys all the way to Ubania, where you go and slay the Emperor himself, or whatever. I don't know.
I would think Ubanians keep grudges for a long, long time.
You think they're like the dwarves in Warhammer, where they have a book of grudges and they just write it down?
Yeah.
And so their ancestors will be like, I'll deal with this in like 100 years from now.
Yeah, well, the descendants, will track it down. It's all a part of the bookkeeping. All right, they don't have loose ends because they're constantly tying them up.
Yeah, it's not a grudge; it's just a loose end, right?
It's a loose end.
There's no personal feelings involved.
It's not tidy. It's not tidy to the war machine of Ubania to have a loose cog or a loose thread. So they got to tie it up. Everything's got to run spick and span, squeaky clean, smooth as silk.
I mean, I'm not sure if this is a recurring trend or not, but pretending you're dead, or having the people chasing you be like, oh, this guy's dead, we're not going to chase him anymore. Because this happened with Tokul. I don't know, like 6, maybe 10 sessions ago? It was a while ago, where he was being chased by the Ivory Veil guys, and they ended up killing him.
Mm-hmm.
Killing him, with quotation marks there, because they did kill him. But then he comes back from the dead, like a phoenix from the ashes. But now everyone in Ivory Veil is like, hey, the prince is dead. Here's the hammer to prove it. Uncle, you are the new king.
I mean, Tokul never had the hammer in the first place, but
he
now...
had the hammer in the first place.
Did he?
He always had the hammer. It's just been broken and in his backpack with all the other 7 weapons he brought around with him at the same time.
I guess you're right, but it's very hard to remember because Tokul never ever mentioned it before, I think, until after it was gone. Oh no, he did. He
mentioned it a few times. Divine Light, Executioner of the Wicked.
I could probably count it on one hand though, which is probably why it's so hard to remember why that hammer almost never existed in my mind.
It was one of the very few things that Tokul, as a character, was driving him, really. Because when I first discussed the creation of Tokul with Matthew, one of the things was he wanted to repair his father's hammer, which his father received from some celestial being to go slay some great demon as a reward or something, which is why Tokul also knows celestial. Those are 2 things that are connected.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where it ended up leading to was where Tokul wanted to bring the hammer to like a dwarven smith or something, to like the best smiths in the country to repair it. And that is kind of where it was supposed to go, and then this happened. So I don't think it was going to really take off until we actually got anywhere near dwarves or some kind of master smith, and it was just kind of in the back seat. But now we just kind of pulled it to the front, and we're like, hey, fuck you. We're taking this, and we're going home. You go do your own thing.
Do your own thing as in you'll be dead.
Yeah.
Which they killed him.
Do your own thing in heaven.
And now Tokul's...
Do your own thing in heaven.
Now Tokul's come back and saying, I'm the exiled prince. Again, I think that's an ill-executed plan. Obviously, you want to get to that point, but you need to ramp it up slowly, and you can't just say, I'm the prince, and then, expect everyone to rally behind you just because, even though you are actually the prince, you're no longer gold, you don't have the hammer, you don't have any reputation, you're probably known as the prince who ran away and got killed, got run down like a dog.
He did. See, can I tell you what my secret hope is?
Okay, what's the secret hope?
So, pretend this is like a movie, right? This is the plot of the movie, right? Where the prince dies. He dies in this tragic accident, but he's actually alive. But he's all disfigured now, and he has to slowly gain back his reputation. And no one believes he's the prince, and nobody really cares he's the prince. But they rally behind him anyway just because of who he is. Like, not his blood or anything, not his genetics, not his scales or whatnot, but purely because of the things he does, the deeds he does, and the person he's becoming, rather than the person he was born to be, right? So, he has to earn this right to become king rather than it just being something set in stone.
I think at this point that is the only way he's going to do it. I can't see any other way that he's just going to magically become the prince and take over, the Ivory Vale from his uncle.
That's the problem, because Tokul is trying to prove he's the prince. But I don't really think that is the main goal he should be going for.
We already discussed this last week, but yeah, your vision is probably the plan he should be going for in the first place. And I think he's got that now, I think. But he's still trying to tell people, hey, I'm a good guy. We're bros, right? So if I tell you a secret, you'll believe me, right? You'll believe me. let me tell you something.
Yeah?
I'm the prince.
No.
The prince.
Huh? That's impossible.
The prince is dead.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it should be his end goal to tell people he's the prince, to get him to believe he's the prince. I think his end goal should be, I'm going to go take back my country, rather than I'm royalty, believe me, kind of thing.
Yeah, you definitely need supporters. You need supporters, and I don't think you get that by just telling people willy-nilly that you're the prince. In fact, that might be a surefire way to get you killed a second time.
Yeah, people might hate him more when they realize he's actually the prince. Because most Dragonborn outside of the Kingdom of Ivory Vale are exiles. And they've been exiled by the Gold Clan, the royalty. So they probably fucking hate his guts. So I don't know. Maybe it's not such a good idea.
Well, I would love to see more Ivory Vale stuff come into the forefront, especially like what kind of history they have. Why are they being exiled? What kind of things? What kind of laws and stuff do they have? I think it's very honor-based kind of. I want to say almost like samurai honor-based. And if you do something dishonorable or you're not following the old way or whatever it is, then that's exile or even death. So I think maybe exile is even more dishonorable than getting killed. Getting punishment by death is exile. You don't even get to be in the homeland that you grew up in.
Well, I think when I was writing the Ivory Vale, there is this very mystic thing called the hunt, right? I'm pretty sure I've talked to you about this before. But the hunt is the pursuit of something, the pursuit of anything. It's not really just, I'm gonna go kill a creature or beat a dragon or whatever. It's like the pursuit of knowledge, I don't know, the pursuit of happiness or whatnot. And if people start to betray the hunt, then they're exiled or something, because if you betray the hunt, you're not gonna go to the greater hunt, which is the afterlife for all Dragonborn, where they just live happy in heaven and go hunt stuff. I don't know. Who knows? Those guys are crazy.
Maybe it's because the gold dragons don't want the hunt to be a thing anymore. Maybe that the guys being exiled are following the hunt, and the gold dragon's like, nah, that's not a thing anymore.
That's not the real hunt.
That's not a thing anymore. You got to pay taxes to go to Dragonborn heaven, and they're like, that's not the hunt anymore. And like, yeah, well, neither are you. Get out of here.
Yeah, maybe that's why the uncle took over, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a similar. I have to talk to you about some stuff, but I have a similar thing going on. But
okay,
where we going? Where we going with this? Tokul, think of a better plan. Become a good person first before you say you're the prince. Okay, even though no one might believe you and you might be safe for now, if you start becoming a threat to the now Ivory Vale leadership, you're gonna get yourself killed a second time, okay? So if you're listening to this, please heed my words and just do stuff that'll get your reputation. Maybe just follow Claude Lightning around, become the new, I don't know, Gold Thunder.
The name Thunder's already taken, so that ain't it. That ain't it. But it's not even gold anymore. It's like this smoky gold. Like brass.
Brass, that's it. Copper or grass.
I mean, I think in my head canon, he looks way cooler in this color than he does in Disco Light Gold.
Disco The blinding gold. Every time he steps in the sunlight, everyone has to avert their eyes. Not because he's Jesus or anything. It's because he's too shiny.
Yeah, it just refracts off him. Anyway,
My
that was...
headcanon, he's still kind of red though.
He's not red. He's never been red, ever.
I think now my perception of him is starting to like... I'm seeing more as gold.
Yeah, okay.
But it'll never be more canon than the red Toku.
Red Toku was never canon.
It's probably...
It's never been a thing. Like, ever.
Should have been a thing in the first place. Anyway, the next task is the Umbra Hulks that Storm has to observe, and then later on we have a whole discussion about whether or not how we're going to like what goes into learning how to polymorph into an Umbra Hulk. Apparently, all you need to do is just start studying it for a short while, and then boom, you've got it.
I'm sure there is some D&D background way to figure out what you can and cannot polymorph into, but I don't know it. So maybe I'll do some research.
As far as I'm aware, it's just that if you've seen it before, then
become it as long as
you can become it.
Get that CR level correct. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I feel like there should be something extra, you know? You can't just be like, I can turn into a crab now.
It's like a Pokédex. It's like a Pokédex.
You gotta scan with the Pokédex. You gotta capture it first before you see the information.
No.
Yes?
No.
Yes?
In the series, Ash always just pulls out his Pokédex and like, what's this? And then it gives him a whole essay.
He's a main character. He's dumb. You got protagonist syndrome, okay?
Yeah, well...
Okay, you guys kind of are the protagonist. Okay, yeah, you guys have to go see it, right?
Okay, we go see it. Also, the bestiary wants a body of it, so I was like, aha, yeah, that's a reason we have to fight it. You know, I was thinking maybe we can just get around it and we just
take a picture and then go.
I was kind of hoping that might be the case, but no, it's just like, hey, you know, give me a body. Hey,
if you can, not you have to, you know. So you guys could have just gone in, gone out. Actually, no, you couldn't have. Maybe you could have.
Well, you had to do the whole rumbling thing. We'll get to that though.
I did roll a few secret dice. I'll tell you that much, but we'll get to it. And
then lastly, to end off the group discussions, we have the dinner
party.
Now I'm confused. I was confused because I initially thought that this was a part of Lady Saria's big fight event. So I thought she would have like some sort of like pre-fight dinner to celebrate the upcoming fight or something or other.
No, that's not connected.
So this was just the party's idea to have a dinner to like try and like, you know,
initially
butter up the political
this was part of the political game or mini game or whatever, where you get to affect people's relations or whatnot. And initially this was supposed to be at the very end of the 3 months, and it technically isn't the end of 3 months, so it's still kind of there.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of becoming this bigger thing where everyone's doing their part to make things come together. And I kind of like these things, you know. You remember the concert? Remember the concert you guys had?
Concert was dumb though.
That was lit. That was lit. I like that. I don't care what you say. I like that. That was lit. People do their own thing to get stuff together, and it's a big group collaborative effort to bring people together. And yeah, it's kind of turning into that, even though I didn't really think it was going to turn into that. But hey.
This is though much bigger than the concert. I feel like the concert was kind of just scraped together in like 15 minutes.
It was just like a fun thing.
Well, therefore, to get money, right? We got money out of that.
Yeah, you guys did get money out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and this one is maybe a little bit more serious.
It's a bit more altruistic. So
yeah,
we all go off and get our own things. I think Tokul goes to organize the venue with Nostra. We're gonna put it in the Poor District, I think it's now called. Do you have an actual name for that? Just so you can clear the water, or is it Poor District now?
I'd have to pull up the map.
The slum. Do you have names for the districts?
I know there's a High District. I think it's the Low District, actually.
Okay. Low District.
Maybe. I'll have to double check.
That sounds pretty similar to
Poor District.
Poor District.
But it has a different connotation. Low is just south of the city. High is just north of the city. It doesn't mean you're lower as a person. No. It's just lower geographically.
Nobody really wants to live in a place called Low District. Do you think in real life people want to live in the High District, you know? That's like downtown and uptown.
Yeah. I live downtown.
No, you don't live downtown. We don't live downtown.
We live midtown. We live out of town. Anyway, back to topic.
Snow goes to get some tables from Sirdar. It's a beautiful relationship.
What a strange.
What do you mean? What a strange relationship?
It's like looking at like frogs fuck. It's
What
weird,
the
but it's beautiful.
hell are you talking about?
It's weird, but it's beautiful.
What the?
Like, I don't understand
frogs
what the fuck's going
Where'd you
on.
get that analogy from? That's the worst
It
analogy.
makes sense. It's like
It's
aliens.
just-
It's aliens copulating.
It's like what the aliens copulating.
Yep.
I envision it as like just a simple piece of wood. All right, it's strong, it's solid, it's simple. Okay, there's nothing more. There's nothing more to do
This
with
conversation's really
amphibians copulating or extraterrestrial beings making love. You don't have to take it that place. Okay, although there is something coming up
What?
that we have to discuss.
No.
Very
Wait, what?
important. Okay,
What does that have to know?
It does. It does.
With-
It's very relevant, and we'll get to it. So next up, I think Storm actually has the most. He did the most things.
Storm did
I should
quite a
have,
few things.
when I was writing the notes, I should have actually categorized it by the person, like I did the last time. But I just thought everyone was doing one thing, so I just did it like a single
Okay, we can just do all of Storm at once.
statement by statement. But it turns out Storm ended up. He did like a couple things first, so I was like, I wrote a couple things down, and then the other players did something, and then he did two more things at the very end. So I was
how
like,
it is.
hey, come on. To Storm. So the first thing Storm does, he gets meat from the guy who fed him a piece of meat when Storm was a hobo.
The hobo arc, yes.
We don't actually learn the name of this butcher. He's just
Nope.
the nameless butcher. Really, I mean, come on, Storm. You gotta ask for the names of the guys who, give you charity, okay? It's only polite.
In a way, we could see it as a symbolic. He doesn't have a name because he's part of the city, kind of thing, right?
Fuck off.
It's not like you're gonna learn the 150 names of the people who show up to the party.
Yes, we will. We will. Okay? We will.
Huh?
We will.
I'm gonna need a bigger list of
Hell
randomized
yeah,
names.
you're gonna need a bigger list.
Oh,
you're gonna
shit.
need a huge list, okay?
Okay, continue.
And then Storm also organizes entertainment from his Charm and Harm guild. And this is kind of like Storm coming back to... It's kind of like, you don't see people for a long time because you've kind of drifted apart.
Yeah.
You've gone your different ways, and then you're coming together. And there's clearly like an awkwardness here. Charm and Harm is kind of a representation of what Storm was, or a big part of what Storm was before his new, how do you say it? His new transformation,
Yeah.
I guess. Spiritual transformation.
And physical transformation.
Sure. And he comes back, and it's very awkward because he's like I remember Lewis going like, okay, I gotta remember how this was like. Okay, get back into it. Hey, Domino!
I think this whole interaction, my biggest regret was that the Charm and Harm bards did not comment on how different Storm was. Mostly because this was like out of left field, and I was like, oh shit, this is happening right now. But yeah, I feel like they should have been like, oh shit, you're huge now, and you're kind of different.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing is you just have to remember,
Yeah.
and you constantly have to remind
Absolutely.
each other of the changes that have been happening.
Absolutely.
But, something to write down for the next time. Maybe write it down if there's big player changes. You want to make sure all the NPCs have something to say about it. It's only right to have a reactive world instead of, any old RPG where your choices don't matter. Bethesda. Anyway.
Wow.
Ryan organizes guests. He specifically wants to invite two primes, Ty and Creed. And he goes to Ty, and she says, she said she will come, but she doesn't want to interact with Creed because they've got some beef. Because she doesn't respect how Creed rolls.
Yeah. Yeah, because Creed's an asshole, and she does asshole things, like traffic people, and move drugs around.
She's a businesswoman. She's a businesswoman. Ruthless businesswoman.
Yeah, it's fucked up. But Ty also steals from a bunch of people, so who am I to say
Yeah,
who's in the right,
she's
who's in the wrong?
also full of lawlessness, so
Yeah.
she can't really talk. But
She's
I
a
guess
hypocrite.
she's doing it for like a good reason. Whatever.
Robin Hood, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway, then Ryan
This is
was
so
like,
fucked up.
what happens here?
Ryan. He does. Ryan has a very awkward conversation with Ty.
He's cashing in a lot of favors that I don't think he has.
He's like, "Hey Ty, can you come?" She's like, "Alright," but I'm also inviting Creed. She's like, "Oh, no, I don't know if I want to do that." But then he's like, "You guys don't have to talk to each other." She's like, "Oh, okay, I guess." And then he leaves, and he's like, "Oh wait, hey, can you cook? Can you cook?"
Yeah, well, I don't think I think you're selling it short. It was like a whole ordeal. She reluctantly agreed after some convincing, and then she's like, "Okay, I'll come. Okay, but I'm not talking to Creed." And that was like a whole thing. That took like 10 minutes. And then Ryan's like, "Before I go, can you
also
get me? Can you also supply drinks
for 100 cooking
for 150 people, and yeah, like do the cooking for the steaks, and then also can you loan us your very expensive airship so we can just go do an errand and cut this?"
I mean,
and crew.
Yeah, to be fair, she's like she kind of offered the airship, right? Because the Umber Hulk is also part of her
I guess so.
thing to do.
I guess so.
So she kind of needs it to happen as well. So this is like, okay, yeah, you guys need this, I'll give it to you, because I also need this. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, that conversation. Whoa.
Yeah, definitely stretching your relationship very thin.
Proficiency in negotiation.
Very thin, very thin. Yeah, maybe you should have like upped your persuasion a while.
Well, it'll come in handy in Carthus, maybe.
Hopefully.
Unless he rolls like ass.
But he's starting to run out of that luck, okay? So, I mean, not that I told you it wasn't coming, but it's coming, okay? Yeah. One of these days, you're going to get a really shit roll at the worst possible time, and you're gonna wish. You're gonna wish you sucked all that luck out of everyone else that day. You're gonna wish. So next up, Tokul invites Short and Stout. They agree to come.
Yeah, it's an instant. Let's go.
And I think Ryan, more Ryan shenanigans. So Ryan also comes with Tokul, and he's like, "Hey, you know that magic glaive I sold to you, a couple months back, and you paid what was it, 500 gold for that? I'm going to need that back.
Can I have it back?
I'm going to need that back." They were like,
"Yeah, we melted it.
It's
gone."
"Oh, can you make an identical magic?
Unmelt it?
Can you unmelt the glaive? Can you do that?" And he's like, "You know how much you sold it to me for, right? 500 gold.
Yeah.
And it costs 200 more for the labor.
Yeah.
Right.
Shit. Also,
can you do it tomorrow? By tomorrow." And he's like, "That's an extra 1,000 gold." I remember.
You want express shipping from Smiths of all things? That's gonna be expensive.
Oh, the economic depression that Ryan went into after that was staggering. He was at a loss for words. Turns out, though, just a normal glaive will only cost him 50 gold. But it did take a while after some agonizing conversation.
Yeah.
And people just like saying, "Ryan, you're screwed. Like, what do we do with the glaive?"
You're fucked.
But eventually, 50 gold for a normal glaive, that should be okay.
The caveat here is that, is a normal glaive gonna actually be okay? Because if you recall, the glaive was magical.
Well, only time will tell.
And physical attributes don't make up the whole thing, so yeah. Maybe they'll be like, "Hey, that's not the glaive."
Hey Ryan, if you're listening to this, that's the DM telling you that you're screwed, okay?
I'm not saying that.
No,
I'm not saying that.
No, don't bring that up and just pretend that you don't mean anything by it, okay?
I'm not
Ryan,
saying that.
Alright, forget the glaive. Forget the meeting. Let's just run away together, okay?
It's okay. That meeting is not going to be for like another session, so you guys aren't going to remember this at all anyway.
Ryan, remember this, okay?
He's not.
Aiden's good at remembering stuff that is important to his characters, so he'll never forget it.
Okay, alright, who's next?
Next is Maple, who distributes the. Oh yeah, he was tasked with just making the general invites.
Yeah,
so just
and a little bit of delivery.
Yeah, I don't know why. Thinking back now, I don't know why you needed to write invitations. You could just tell people just to be there.
Yeah, just get a town crier.
I doubt that half of them can even read, or most of them in the low district can even read.
Yeah.
But he has a funny interaction when he roams the streets of the low district with some of the El Clasico orphans of Low Street. And they, apparently Maple's been around, and he's provided some mild entertainment for the kids when he's around, some magic and stuff like that, and as usual they crowd around him saying, "Oh, do some magic for us, Mr. Elf Man.
Can you conjure some bread?
Can you conjure some bread?" And he's like, "I can do the lines for you, but you can't eat those lines.
That trick.
Can you conjure some arms for me?"
Shut up, Tommy.
Eventually, he's overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed by these kids and decides to dimension door out. And Tommy goes, "Oh, he's gone, just like me father."
These poor kids. Oh
Maple,
God.
Maple. He, you're not good. You're not good with people. Not good with Bonnie. Not good with the kids.
I like it. It's part of his character that he's kind of awkward,
I do hope though that one day he'll meet back up with Eliwick, and there'll be that juicy, awkward, semi-erotic.
Semi-erotic.
Do you remember the first sending message he sent? He's like, "I want to meet with you.
Age,
now.
sex, location." Huh?
I want to see you.
I don't know. I like it. It's funny. It's kind of, I don't know if this is true to him, but it's kind of true to the character, right? Because I'm not sure how deep the Owl Scholar lore goes, but I imagine these guys kind of stuck in a library or just doing research or just exploring most of the time. And so they wouldn't have much experience with actual social interaction with many other people other than their clan members or family or whatnot. So maybe this is...
That's a very generalizing statement, but I guess so.
Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. Maybe it's just Lachlan role-playing.
I think it's definitely Lachlan, He's caught off guard quite often, so he's trying to work with what he has, but it's all for the betterment. It's all for good improv. Thinking on your feet is like 70% of this game.
It's
anyway.
A learning experience.
So next, Ryan and Tokul and Maple go to Warehouse 6. I think Ryan has to go there to invite Creed, and Tokul and Maple just tag along for shits and giggles. And Ryan beelines it to Creed, but Tokul and Maple decide to mill around the warehouse, not doing anything in particular, when they are spotted by a particular character, an old friend, an old acquaintance, you could say.
Passage.
Old Passage.
The sad decline of what was supposed to be a semi-cool character.
I think it's like the total opposite of what you had in mind when you first made the character. I remember
Absolutely.
I remember Passage being like this, like I pictured him being like an old, rugged, like world-weary person, and he's kind of turned into this kind of very youthful and awkward and kind of longing character. He just wants friends.
He's lonely.
And he's very sad. And I think that's due to the party kind of, not giving a shit about him,
I mean, I'm sure it's also his own fault, right? Like, he could be making friends of his own, in that 3 months, who knows?
Yeah, but he's relied on the party. He's like, "Oh, a job. These guys, they're my friends. They stuck with me for 6 months because they had no other choice. They must be my best buddies." And he sees Tokul and Maple, and Tokul and Maple, oh, damn it, this guy.
He saw us. He saw us.
And he's like, "Oh, hey. Remember me? You paid me. You paid me."
It wasn't quite like that.
It was totally...
It was like that on the inside, but on the outside he's like, "Hey." But on the inside he's like, "Oh."
That just makes him even more of like a little bitch. like that he's trying to cover it up. Like, I would respect him a little bit more if he was kind of more honest with his feelings. But the fact that he's just like trying to play it cool, but failing so magnificently at it, just makes him seem so much lower than he really is. Oh, what a sad guy. What a sad guy.
Yes.
You can tell I don't really like this character. Not that I don't like you for playing him. I just don't like the character himself because, you know, he's just so sad and pathetic.
I mean, to be fair, he's had a lot of shit go on. And then you guys just abandoned him in the streets.
He's got a place to be. He's got work. His sister is a prime, okay? His sister is a gang leader. A crime lord. Okay, he's got somewhere to be.
Yeah.
He could make friends with anyone in Warehouse 6.
Yeah.
But for some reason that I know of, he chooses not to. And that is his own fault. Like you said, his own fault. So, and I don't appreciate the party confronting me saying, hey, why don't you like this guy this much? Because he fucked up his own life and now he's relying on us to prop him back up again, okay? I don't respect that. You stand on your own 2 feet, okay? We're not gonna be your crutch.
Okay. Okay, maybe he heard that right then. Maybe something's gonna go down later on now.
Oh, man. And also, I think he's semi-responsible for us getting killed in the dream. So I think that's also... I just remembered that just now. But now I realize the true reason why I hate him. Because he's a slippery little weasel. Okay? He's just out to get everything for himself, alright? He doesn't really want friends. He just wants friends so he can feel good about himself, okay? Alright? Okay. Listen to me now, party. Don't trust Passage. Kick him to the curb. He's not with us on the thing.
No, he's not.
Oh, good!
He said no. You invite him. He's like, no.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. We invite him to stuff, and then he just like, you have a dinner going on. Yeah, who are you inviting? Oh, you can come along if you want. Actually, I'm a bit too busy for that. I'm a bit too busy.
I got other friends. No, he didn't say no to the dinner. He said no to coming with you guys on the ship to go get the armor hull.
Yeah, sure, he said no. Oh, this guy he just loves to get invited to stuff just so he can feel like he can just say no. I hate him a lot. Okay,
yeah,
not respectable.
You think there's gonna be confrontation between him and Snow at any point, or are they just gonna be?
I think Snow right now doesn't want anything to do with him, you know, just for Passage's safety and for Snow's own, you know, mental well-being. I feel like every time Passage comes near Snow, Snow has to be extra reserved, you know, and keep his ill feelings from leaking out. But they do leak out from time to time, just because that is the level of disdain that Snow has for this Passage character. First, he takes the money. He takes the money from the billboard, which I was kind of hoping that, you know, you'd like make another character grab. But no, he just took that. He eventually gave it back. But the initial impression left a very sour taste in his mind. Then he did the whole like revive killing thing, even though I guess you could say that's justified. That's still a very not tasteful thing to do. And then now he's like trying to slither back in the Hardy's good graces, trying to act like, hey, you know, I'm a friendly guy. You should invite me to stuff. But, you know, lo and behold, we actually know what he's actually like in the vision. He's just going to betray us for some reason, okay? He's weak-willed.
Maybe he betrays you because you guys hate him.
Maybe he doesn't come along because we hate him, okay? There's no reason for him to come along if we hate him. If I hate him. I'm the party daddy. I don't want him to come with us anymore. Stop inviting him to stuff, okay? I don't want him there. I don't want him there. He's a dangerous character, okay? Dangerous.
Yeah. I see. Anyway, they have a nice conversation.
They have a very awkward conversation, and then Ryan invites Creed. Creed just straight up says, no. No. I ain't got time for that. And, and I feel like Ryan tries very hard to be very approachable.
Yeah, I think he deals with it quite well.
Very conversationable, but in times like this, he doesn't really have anything to any incentive, anything to kind of back up his words right now. And I think, he's slowly getting there. But at this point, I think he might be reaching too far. Reaching
with the stars.
Kind of reaching to the stars when he doesn't have a ladder. So next, Storm invites Radalak. Radalak says the Temple of Vosny is to remain neutral. So if this is to kind of tip the scales, or if this is an act of aggression in some way, that's a no-no. And Storm's like, no, we're just, we're inviting people. We are inviting these people, but we're just inviting them. That's all. There's no sort of ulterior motive, although initially there was. But I think at this point, it's
actually now more for the people.
More or less, we're just doing it. It's just as a good gesture. So Radalak accepts the invite. And lastly, Storm invites Kaya of the Bestiary, and this is where Kaya says, she needs the.
It's a he.
He.
It's always
Kaya is a feminine name. You got to admit. Every time I see Kaya, I immediately think it's Tilvir. Because Tilvir is a woman, right?
Tilvir is a woman.
Yeah. And I keep getting them mixed up sometimes, because, we didn't have much interaction with the Bestiary beforehand.
At least you didn't, no.
Yeah, so they're kind of muddled in my mind. And the fact that Kaya is a name for a male prime kind of muddles it even more. So, but he accepts. But he wants a plus 10, or a plus.
It was a plus 15.
Plus whatever, because he wants his whole guild to come along. And Storm's like, you can take 5. You can take 5. And he also tries to get an airship off Kaya, but he declines.
Well, he doesn't decline. He's like, maybe in a week.
Oh, yeah, the time frame doesn't line up. But he only asked for that because he didn't know Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan already got one.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens next?
Well, the BB, the Blood Brothers, they go to check mail. And I don't know if this is getting old or whatnot, but going to check mail has become this ritual of some sort where, hey, let's go check the mail, guys, see what's going on. And nobody has letters. Nobody. But people want to write letters. People want to write letters.
Everybody writes letters. Now, I didn't actually note down what the letters said.
It's okay, because I did, and they're in my notes.
Okay. What did they write?
They're in my notes.
Well, they all write letters. I believe, from what I recall, Maple writes a letter to Olive just saying, hey, I heard you fucked a human, and you're a baby mama, and I met your little baby who's not little anymore, but I'm still looking for you,
Yeah, I heard you're in X town.
Did he tell her that Ernest? Wait, Ernest is not dead, right?
No, he's not dead.
He's not dead.
He's just on his sick bed. He's sick. He's dying.
Did he tell her that? Did he write to her that he was ill?
No. No.
But
he did say that Ernest was also looking for her.
That might have been a crucial point that he could have added in there. I feel like if Olive read that, she'd be like, oh no, my long lost love, he's in Huriya and he's ill. I gotta come back. You can just play the guilt card.
Maybe it's the other way around, where she's like, oh, I fucking hated that guy. Good thing he's dying. I don't want to see him anymore.
See, Maple? Are you listening to this, Maple? You listening to this?
It's not true.
Are you listening to this?
It could not be true. Who knows? This is just...
How dare you say that?
Maybe.
How dare you say that and say maybe? Maybe means yes.
Maybe
okay?
it's not even... Maybe she's not even the mom. Think of that.
No, she's the mom. It's heavily implicated that she's the mom. Who else would Ernest have fucked?
Maybe she had elf friends.
No, she doesn't have friends.
How do you not know she has friends?
She doesn't have friends.
How are you making these assumptions?
No, I'm just saying
she doesn't have friends.
I'm just saying that.
Snow writes a letter.
I write a letter
it's
to
like,
Uchi.
oh, I get it now.
Oh! Yeah, that's a huge one. That's a huge one for me.
That is a bigger one.
I didn't make that... I think the first time I read that, I was very confused. And I didn't really get enough time to think about that. I just read the letter, and then, boom, I wrote another letter back. I'm like, hey, what does this mean? Hey, explain this to me.
And then the next letter you send is like, oh, never mind, I get it.
I got it. And Snow writes a short letter saying, "I understand. I'm the pale shadow." You know. But I think Snow still wants answers.
Do you expect answers?
At this point, no. He's been leaving me on red
You're
quite a lot.
Shouting into the void right now.
Yeah. I don't know if he's even getting the letters. I don't know if he's even on the grid, on the mail grid,
The mail grid?
Like
This is something we need to discuss at some point.
How does the mail... I assume that... Here's what I'm thinking. And this is a long shot. And you don't have to tell me if this is, true or whatever. But I think that since we can say that mail runs on magic, right? Every living being has a connection to some sort of higher plane, their soul plane, or whatever, or like the magic weave, or whatever it is, right? They have some sort of bounds. So the mail system somehow taps into that kind of cyberspace magic weave,
the magic space,
yeah, right? And that's how they have mail for any and anyone, all right? You don't need citizenship. You don't need official documents. You just need to tap into this weave. And if somebody has directed mail at you in some form, shape, or form, it just beams up. It beams up and beams back down.
Magic satellite.
Right? Well, the mail just goes up, right? And I feel like it only gets called down once they're like, okay, look up this name on the Weave database.
Yeah.
And then
maybe it's like a special class who tap in, and then they just pull it down.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. But like, if we're going like the full magic thing, it just zaps into existence.
Yeah.
It only zaps into existence when you have, when a request goes in for the right name that it's being directed to, or multiple names, and boom, you have your mail that's directed to you. All you got to do is visit your local post office that offers this kind of service, and boom, that's how you get mail. Perhaps. So if you don't check mail, that's probably the only thing. Like, I'm sure there may be portable mail systems, or some wizards have some way of like divining the mail to them, tapping into the weave. Or maybe, I just thought of this now, maybe there's like, I always assume Ubanians, because they're like the pseudo, like, they're the kind of bad empire, you know? They have like these, Ubanian hackers, these Russian hackers, so to speak, and they're trying to tap into this weave and try and like they're trying to intercept other people, and I think this weave is very powerful. So if it's not directed to you, you won't get it, right? So they're trying to like get into this, or some organization is trying to get into this and trying to intercept mail, and it's trying to like, and I assume maybe the Denetharians are trying to do that too. That might be a cool plot point you can put in, but I just thought of that just now.
Yeah.
But there is a thing that comes up. Ryan brings up a good point.
Yeah, this is a very good point.
It's a good point relating to that he somehow receives a letter that was directed to Lieutenant Galfor. It wasn't strictly mentioned that he got that through the mail system. It just, he got the letter, right? And I put up an idea that the ring, or his identification thing, gave him some sort of authentication, right?
To get into the other cyber
or like
space,
or like you can somehow encrypt the mail, right? Where you need a special item like a key to like get the mail or something like this. Is becoming very complicated very quickly, but you can like get a key, and like as long as you have the key, like it's probably not even directed at Lieutenant Galfor. It's just directed at his identification, you know?
Maybe. And if someone else asks for Lieutenant Galfor's stuff, they just get this random cryptic shopping list.
Or they'll just get like squiggles or whatever it is, or they will get nothing, right? So, hey, something to think about. But it's good that like, we don't want everything to be fully explained, because that kind of adds to the mystery. But some things like this, like these sort of infrastructure and things, there should be some in-world understanding about how these things work and how they even manage to utilize something like this. So there's your explanation. There's one explanation, if any y'all need that.
Yeah, it's one of the scholars' explanations of how the mystical post office works.
Maybe I'll do like a little write-up just saying, hey, this is how the mail system works.
Theory.
We've studied the mail system. This might be one of the ways. of how it gets to us in the first place. Anyway,
every post office manager is the same person, the same gay guy.
I don't think so because the venture dude was different. He was clearly a different guy. I think the gay guy was just the guy in Huriya.
Yeah.
Although he's a great character, and I think you should lean into him more. I think he's
Really?
a character. He's a minor character that people tend to
Really?
kind of latch on to. You know. I like him.
Who else wrote a letter? Tokul?
Tokul wrote a letter to Sugar, and he's
course
like,
he
"Oh,
did.
Sugar, I miss you. I want to see you.
How you doing?
All right? How did my dragon dick?"
We're really gonna talk about this?
Hell yeah, we're gonna talk about this. So
Lord.
there's a conversation that comes up after Tokul writes this letter to his lost love, Sugar, who was simply a prostitute who he engaged in a monetary relationship with briefly in a town called Layford or Guildford. I get the mix up now. Guildford. And he's fallen in love with her Van Gogh style. And so the conversation comes up while Matt goes to the toilet, where he's like, hey, so how do Dragonborns have sex? Do you have like genitalia? Do you have like human looking genitalia, or is it like a different thing, right? Do you have like a three-pronged? Do you have like a three-pronged thing, or do you have like a special corkscrew penis or whatever it is? Eventually, I think you looked it up.
I do the research
because
unwillingly.
Because Dragonborns are somewhat humanoid, they have humanoid features, which includes genitals.
They
right?
are mammals with dragon-like qualities. So they don't lay eggs or anything.
I'm assuming that it's like a dog's penis, a little red rocket, right? It's like you have a scaly sleeve, and then a little thing comes out, and that's how you do it, right? That's how you do it. Then we're like, okay, that's fair enough.
But
how big is it? How big is it? So we're like, hey, whip out a D12,
in game, take off your pants.
and that's your inches. That's your inches, right? And I think he rolled a 7, which is a respectable size.
Respectable. That's a good number.
Yeah, that's a respectable size.
That's a good number.
That's a respectable size. So everyone was like, all right, gotta see this. Gotta have a dick measuring contest. Literally.
A literal dick measuring contest.
Storm rolls a 5. Also
It's
respectable.
actually a good number.
That's okay.
Actually a good
that's
number.
okay. That's average.
And then we get some
Then we get some
big boys.
some nice numbers. Maple gets a 10. Elves have big cocks.
Apparently.
They have big schlongs.
Canon. Apparently canon now.
Snow and Ryan beat him with an 11.
The 11 gang.
They have 30 centimeter rulers just attached to their groins.
This is...
And Passage also, when he wants to get onto this, he rolls a 1.
I can't believe I actually rolled a 1.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. I don't know. I was mildly uncomfortable, but I was also like, oh, fuck it. We're playing a game. It's fun.
It's something you read online where like the players have some stupid.
And you think these guys are fucking idiots.
Stupid line of thought that they have to chase down until the very end. But I love it. I'm glad we got that cleared up. That's gonna be important later on.
Is that gonna be important?
That's gonna be definitely something that we can bring up. All right, that's ammunition.
Ammunition?
Yeah. Ammunition. The party will know what I mean. That party will know what I mean. Ammunition, alright? If you ever need that sort of factoid, how big you are, okay? That's going to be important. Very important, okay? And that might not be important, in the next session, or the next year, or the next decade, but it will be important. It will be important. Hey, we're playing Axie Forever. Anyway.
Yeah, and the post office manager was there to spectate all of it, and he was having the time of his life, apparently.
I mean, he was the referee. He was making sure all the measurements were right.
He had the ruler.
Anyway, continuing on. They set off to Carthus.
Yes, they get a ship from Tai, piloted.
The next day, piloted by Oi Swiftblade, who was a subordinate of Tai, and they set sail to Carthus, or somewhere around Carthus where the Umbra Nest is. They get off after a day's travel.
Yeah, they sing a little shanty and then
Little shanty.
they're there.
They're there.
Fast travel.
Then they get to the cave where they suspect the Umbra Hulk is. They go into the cave. After 10 minutes of travel, they see the Umbra Hulk feasting on some sort of creature. And Storm gets his sneak peek, and he learns how to become an Umbra Hulk. But in the meantime,
I'm rolling some secret dice.
there's some secret dice being
I'm
rolled.
rolling some secret dice.
There's some rumblings happening. Snow gets his spidey senses
Yes, your
tingling.
secret dice were quite good. Some other people's secret dice were not so good.
Another Umbra Hulk jumps them from behind, and boom, there's combat. Whip, whap, boom. They're trying to sandwich us, but we beat them back. But we don't get to kill the first one because something else comes out from the ground.
Something crawls out of that hole.
A mind flayer. Oh no!
Squiggly something. Squiggly who?
A octopus man.
Octopus man with squiggly tentacles
He
who reads minds and fucking goes into your minds and starts sending you images of people getting fucking tortured, of yourselves getting tortured. Because the way mind flayers repopulate, they conceive other mind flayers.
It's a parasitic.
Yes, it's seromorphosis is the term they use, where they insert a parasite into the host, which eventually takes over the mind and eventually transforms them into another mind flayer.
If you've watched any of the Baldur's Gate 3 trailers, you can see that process happening in good detail. So, if you want a visualization of that process, you can see it. And so he tries to, I think he tries to take a bite out of Maple, who's like the closest to him.
Well, he hits everybody with the brain blast.
Oh, the brain, yeah, that's right, the brain blast, which stuns them.
It is a very damaging attack that goes on recharge in a 60-foot cone. That, if you get hit, you're stunned and you take a shit ton of psychic damage.
Is that called an aberrant blast? Is that what it's called?
No, I think it's called a mind blast.
Mind blast.
Mind blast. It is an aberration, but it is a mind blast also. And a few people get hit. Ryan.
Oh yeah, Ryan basically does nothing this whole fight.
On the inside, I was like, yeah, how's it feel?
Yeah, because one of your characters in the one shot did not. I think it was the Zora one shot that. It did nothing the whole entire fight.
I call that karmic retribution.
It would be cool, an idea to explore, to have like a Mind Flayer PC. I have seen like write-ups on like the stats you can get from it. Obviously, maybe you could play it how like you need to be disguised all the time because Mind Flayers are bad.
Yeah, there was a character that I was writing for maybe later on, but I don't know if this is happening anymore. That was so seromorphosis, right? They insert the parasite or whatnot, where the process doesn't go all the way through, so he's kind of stuck in this in-between form where he still retains his mind, but he's still got the physical transformation, all the benefits of a mind flayer kind of thing, and he's kind of battling with the with his own psyche. I'm telling him to do shit, but that's for later on.
That's cool. Yeah, always want to twist the formula a little bit because D&D is a fairly generic fantasy genre. There's it can be very black and white sometimes, and you wanna mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, change those stereotypes. Flip them. You flip the script. Anyway, the battle goes on, and it's rather even. Would you say even-ish?
We were gonna win.
Yeah, you guys. I think you guys are probably
going to win.
You guys are probably going to win. And then the rumbling occurs. The debris falls down.
More
the dust,
rumbling.
the rocks fall down, and it's much bigger than the Umbra Hulk. It is something huge coming. And then this giant purple worm mouth comes up from the ceiling, fully envelops both Mind Flayer, Cave Bear, and corpse of first Umbra Hulk, and disappears, leaving you guys with the ruins and another Umbra Hulk who tries to run away, which you guys kind of fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And now you guys are like, oh shit, what do we do? And I don't know if I should have got the sand timer out, the hourglass, the minute glass out, just to put it in front of you, so you guys just think of your feet. Because this thing was coming back, definitely. It was obviously coming back. This wasn't a, hey, you just got saved. This is a, hey,
I think
you're kind of fucked.
I think that would have upped the tension, but it was already pretty tense. So, I mean, if you wanted to do that, yeah, that's anything to up the intensity of the encounter. That would have been great. Made it more memorable. But I think eventually, one by one, all of us got ate by this worm. I think we tried to like dig around the hole.
I rolled some attack rolls, and none of you. Oh, even the highest AC guy did not make it through. I was like, okay, these guys are getting.
Yeah, we got slooped by the big worm. But instead of being digested in worm acid, we get transported to a mysterious, dilapidated castle. Outside the gates, I should say.
I like the term Maple used, pocket dimension.
Pocket dimension.
But I don't know if that's true or not. But maybe it is, maybe it's not.
There's definitely some interdimensional elements there
right now.
Yeah, it's very Bioshock Infinite. That's what I like to compare it to, because I think when Storm, there's a skeleton in front of the gates that has these pristine glasses, and when Storm puts on these glasses, he gets transported to the same area, but it's must be from the past or something like that, because it's all pristine.
Everything's back in order.
The castle was no longer dilapidated. And then there's like a butler outside who's like, you know, checking people off this guest list. There's a party, and I think Storm assumes one of the names on the list.
I mean, he goes through the list and he's like, "Yep, that's me." And the guy's like, "All right, free to go in. You go. You do you."
And he gets in the gates, and the gates open in the other dimension, the dilapidated dimension, and they go through. And I think
that's where it ends, right?
That's basically where it ends. And we find out that when Storm tries to put on the glasses, or he takes off the glasses, he gets transported back to the original dilapidated dimension. But when he tries to put them on, there's no effect.
Yes.
No effect.
So the assumption is that he can no longer use...
It's a one-time thing. It's a one-time thing.
At least for him.
Yes. So, maybe the other party members have to wear it. Maybe not. Something to
think about.
Something to think about. How do you think that session went overall? What's your review? Honest review. Be brutally honest.
You want like a rating, like a Matthew 2 out of 3 kind of rating?
Okay, maybe not 2 out of 3. Maybe out of 10, with 5 being not good, not bad, just totally average.
4.
A 4. Wasn't that good? What could have been improved?
No, it was a bit below average. It's not bad. It's just a bit below average.
No, I mean 4's below average.
Why is 4 bad?
Because 5 is like the line, the dividing line. I keep explaining this to you guys, and you don't get it.
I'm trying to use your system.
It's a
4 isn't that bad of a number.
No, now you're going with the 7 is like, if it's under 7, then it's bad. If it's under 5, then
then it's bad.
Then it's bad. All right, then it's bad. Maybe it's like a 4.5.
It's like a little below average, so maybe 4.5.
Okay, well, what could have been improved to make that above the average?
I don't know. I feel like I missed a lot of things, at least from my point of view as DM. I missed a lot of things.
Did you forget about them, or did you not have enough time to get through them?
No, I think I'm rusty. Maybe that's what it is. I'm rusty. I should, and this is one of my biggest regrets from that session, I should be asking for a lot more rolls. A lot more rolls during roleplay.
What kind of things would you ask?
Oh, just stuff like persuasion, deception, insight. Because usually, when we use insight, usually you guys are the ones that ask for it, but I should also be being like, hey, you can roll an insight check here, or whatever. I should be encouraging the rolls rather than suppressing them. I'm not really suppressing them, I'm just kind of ignoring them.
One thing I've been thinking about in terms of insight, actually, I think insight shouldn't only be used as like a lie detector. No, it should be like you're getting insight to maybe how the person is feeling, how the person like. If anyone's played Disco Elysium, you have certain skills that tell you different aspects of how the person you're interacting with is feeling, thinking, how strong their arguments are, that sort of thing. And I think also it should be like, you should also like play with the passive insight as well. The passive insight, and maybe call for insight rolls more often if you want to play a more complex kind of. I think D&D has a very simplified version where you just get insight, whereas Disco Elysium you have insight skill is broken up into many different facets, but that's a very like psychological game. Recommend playing it though. It's very good. But yeah, it should be more than just a lie detecting skill, right?
Yeah.
It should
That's
be
definitely what we try to steer away from. Definitely from the start, when I was doing my research, like session 1, I was like, well, this thing's kind of broken because you can just use it to be like, hey, is that guy lying? So I have always tried to steer away from that. And mostly it's context clues that are given away rather than the answer itself. Like, oh yeah, his fist is scrunching up, or he sees the veins in his neck pulsing harder, or like his sweating from his brow or whatnot, rather than, hey, this guy's lying, kind of thing. I just haven't been asking for it as much, or haven't been encouraging it as much, really. So one of my takeaways from that one was I should be getting way more dice rolls from you guys, just in the general capacity of D&D, with how it should be, more dice rolls. The end felt a little, to me, a little bit railroady. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it did feel like I
didn't intend for it to be, but it's how it came.
Yeah, I feel like after like Kaya said that we needed a body, there was like kind of no way we were getting out of that fight.
Oh no, that was completely random, honestly. I was just like, oh yeah, these guys probably want something in return. You know, maybe a body. That wasn't me being like, they're gonna have to fight it.
At the time, I thought, yeah, okay, that's his way of trying to get us to fight it, or whatever. Not your intention, but that's how it felt at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get transported to this weird pocket dimension, which kind of came out of left field. I don't know where that came from, but I guess we're here now, and we gotta get through this castle somehow. Is this kind of like you have like a grand plan, or this part of like this a little piece in like the grand story, or is this something that's just like, oh, I want this to be in here, so I'm gonna throw it in there?
I don't think I'm at liberty to say.
Okay, sure.
Because saying that would be giving away plot lines or whatnot, and I know how much you like to read into things, so I'm just gonna say nothing.
All right, sure.
And instead of me saying, maybe, you can be like, hey guys, listen to that. Hey, that guy's gonna betray you. He's gonna stab you in the back.
Are you listening to this, all right? You're saying I'm not at liberty to say, which means yes. All right.
I mean, it's obviously not just some random thing that's just gonna be completely not connected at all to the main plot. Obviously, there's gonna be something that connects it to the main plot. It's not just fucking random. Like I went through a book. I'm like, hey, this looks cool. Let's do that. It's not so like I did that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this was something that may or may not was going to happen anyway. Because I introduced the giant purple worm quite a while ago. Yeah,
I think I should rephrase the question. Is this something that you planned to do for a while? Is this something you've always wanted to do for a while?
It was in the books. I don't know when it was going to happen.
Okay.
But it was always in the books.
It's not something you just thought of.
No, just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the giant worm had a thing in it, and then instead of you guys dying, you guys went to the fucking thing? No, okay. That was always inside of that worm.
Okay.
And to be, not to be honest or anything, but the giant worm was the same one that you guys saw.
Yeah. No, I think
just make this clear.
I think you established that.
It's the same one.
When during the session.
The very same.
Yeah, I would probably rate it. I'd probably rate it like maybe a 5.5. It was an average session.
That's above average.
Not a lot. No, I mean not a lot happened, but I feel like the party's like coming together even more now. Now we're kind of organizing stuff, and we're kind of communicating more, and it's not just like everyone is like doing their own things and they just come back together because that's you have to,
because they have to,
or whatever. There's I think towards the end of the downtime we were starting to like, okay, this is our reason for staying together. Okay, like we're not just staying together because we have to see it. We're staying together because we're looking out for each other. We're bros. So I like that more, and I hope that there's more of that. I still think there wasn't a lot of like, besides like the meeting at the start, which seems just like routine now. There wasn't a lot of like people just asking for moments. Not that like you need to ask for moments, but like there was one that I could recall, which was Tokul Storm asking Tokul about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like, I think, getting used to just calling for a moment when you want to have a moment.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that because I don't have to do anything. It eats at the time, and I don't have to do a damn thing. It's great.
Sure.
So do that more. Go eat up an hour just talking to each other, and I can just chill and write some more stuff at the same time. It's great.
Yeah, I mean that's you want to explore your character, and that's probably one way to go about it. You don't have to wait for the DM to bring up a backstory thing, and then boom, we're in the Maple storyline, or we're in the Ryan storyline.
Maple story.
We can just explore the psyche of your character. Maybe you have something on your mind, and you just want to talk to someone about it. So that's about it.
I mean, if you're curious at all, and I'm hoping you are about other characters, just ask them.
Just ask them.
And if they say I don't want to talk about it, then fuck them. Fine, that's their fault. Yeah.
You don't want an enriching experience. You don't get an enriching experience.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's
all
all about wrapped. It's going to be a shorter pod today.
I mean, I guess it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so it won't fit nicely into some people's schedule. I think Lewis said he was listening to this on his morning walks. So hopefully this will end at the end of your walk, or
at the start of the next walk,
or maybe you'll have a little bit left over. And Aiden, I hope this is enough for your drive to your work or wherever. So thanks for listening, guys. Join us next time for episode
Far Kingdoms
18.
18?
I was gonna say episode 18.
You'll be wrong again.
Of Far Kingdoms, but then you interjected with the Far Kingdoms, and then
What do you want to name this one? What do you want to name this one, huh?
What do we want to name this one?
Yeah. Let's think of it right now. Mid podcast.
I'm going to say
the 4.5
measuring contest.
Yeah, actually that's that's actually a pretty good one. Huh?
So anyway, join us next time for episode 18 of Far Kingdoms.
Bye.
Ciao.
I can't believe you guys did that.